We now have less than 2 weeks before President Biden's term in office is over and Donald Trump gets sworn in as the next president of the United States for the next 4 years. And knowing that his time is short, knowing that he's got to do everything he can in these last 2 weeks, President Biden has actually spent the last few days doing some pretty remarkable things that are good for the United States and will actually help to safeguard the public against Donald Trump and the Republicans that are now in charge of everything. The first measure, which he signed into law this past Sunday, was to increase Social Security payments for public service workers. Police officers, firefighters, teachers, if you work in a public sector job and you're on Social Security, your payments, starting now, are going to increase. But here's the best part about this legislation that affects, by the way, 3 million people currently receiving Social Security. You're not just going to see your payments increase starting right now, because this legislation goes back a full year. So that increase, you're going to get a year's worth of back pay on this next Social Security payment or perhaps the next one. So you're not just getting more money now, you're getting more money from last year as well. This is a huge benefit to these individuals, most of whom are completely reliant upon those Social Security payments. Because here's the thing, public sector workers actually a couple years ago had their Social Security payments reduced. Like just that specific group of people. And that was due to several different pieces of legislation that had expired. So Biden comes along, and of course it passed the House and it passed the Senate, signs this new legislation, gets these people the money that they deserve, and backdates it to 2024 so they get an entire year's worth of back pay. That is a huge, huge step forward, especially in the face of Republicans telling us they want to cut Social Security. So Republicans are trying to cut it. Biden just increased it. Not for everybody, but an increase is an increase. So contrast the two parties that way. One party wants to kill it. One party just increased the payments. So who's looking out for you? That's the question everybody needs to be asking themselves. The second important thing that President Biden did this week was he signed an executive order that put over 600 million acres of shoreline on the United States off limits for fossil fuel extraction. And because of the law that he invoked while doing this, it is virtually impossible, barring an act of Congress, for Donald Trump to undo it. Here's what happened. This action invoked the 1953 Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act, a law that gives presidents broad authority to withdraw federal waters from future oil and gas leasing and development. The law does not give presidents explicit authority to revoke the action and place federal waters back into development. So that law that Biden used here says, listen, if you're the president and you want to take federal waters away from oil and gas leasing, you can do that. But if you're the president and you want to give these waters back to oil and gas leasing, you cannot do that. So President Biden, of course, safeguarded, what is the final number here? I want to get this right. This is 625 million acres of shoreline and federal waters that will not be opened for fossil fuel development. Now, on this issue, I do have to ask a very obvious question. This was an executive order. This is day one stuff. You could have done this at any point in the last 4 years and you didn't. Why did you wait till 2 weeks before you leave office? If you could have done this 3 years ago, why didn't you do it 3 years ago? 6 months ago, 1 year ago, any point in time, you literally could have done this to help save our coastlines. But you waited until right now because you didn't want Donald Trump to do it. Like that, you should have done it a long time ago. Listen, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I don't want to sound like a jackass here and kick a man while he's down and leaving office, but you could have and should have done it a long time ago. It's great that you did it now. I'm very happy. I'm very pleased. I appreciate the reason you did it to safeguard us from Trump. But again, kind of seems like maybe you could have done it a couple years ago too. Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. We got fresh content every day for you. And if you want to follow us across social media, make sure you check out all of the social links that we have posted in the description of this video.